The Soul Stream has begun. Mortal Kombat Online and the Realm Kast live show, bringing you everything Mortal Kombat related, from news to guests. I'm your host, the Mortal Kombat FANTiM, and with me as always is our co-host, the Lore Master Yani. Welcome, Yani.
Thank you, FANTiM. And we'd like to introduce our fourth Soulstream guests, again, plural, and also our last Realm Kast guest from yesterday's episode, Mortal Kombat movie producer Larry Kasanoff and Dan Levin. Thank you, guys. Welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Hey guys,
So,
welcome
just
to
in case you guys can't see, Larry's behind the camera, as I guess is always the case.
So yeah, don't forget, you can join and interact in our live chat by visiting YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or simply by going on realmcast.com. You'll see some links there.
So, well, today's episode is basically as we've advertised. It's a follow-up to yesterday's episode with Larry, where we actually discussed his involvement in the production of various Mortal Kombat episodes, rather, Mortal Kombat projects. You can find that episode on our usual channels, but today we'll be taking follow-up questions on that episode, as well as the main focus, which is a discussion and demonstration of what's coming up in the upcoming auction for Mortal Kombat movie props, costumes, memorabilia, and more.
Yeah, so guys, kind of tell us a little bit about the auction. We've briefly told our guests, that Premier Props is going to be hosting this auction, and that Chris Casamassa, who played Mortal Kombat 95 Scorpion, is going to be there, as well as Larry himself. But give us a little bit more history. Why is this auction happening now?
So I'll start. So I'm Dan Levin. Thanks for having us on today. So we're super excited. So this auction is pretty Mortal Kombat auction ever. There's never been this many props and costumes on auction. So we're auctioning both movies, the original Mortal Kombat movies, just tons of other memorabilia. So we have collectible figures. We're going to show you some of the weapons. We've got obviously the doors from Outworld. I mean, just has never been offered to the fans. So we're really excited about this because the fans are and every fan is always talking about, God, if I could have something from Mortal Kombat, get a coin, I can get an action figure, maybe a poster. But now never had where we're going to bring cast members. We're going to have really talked about. So it's all Mortal Kombat in one place. And now the prop that you actually talk about and say, hey, this is the whip I own right now. It's in my house. And you can touch it and hold it. Someone's going to be able to tell over and over and over again. So that's why we're so excited.
Let me explain. So all of these things went directly from the sets of the movies to our studio. During the pandemic, we make a lot of movies and animated movies, and a lot of our studios, because of what happened, we started along with help from Microsoft, who built us a network. We now have our networks all over the world, in Nepal, India, and places like that. So our office in Los Angeles, and as much as it pains us to do this, we don't have room for everything. So Dan and with these guys, because we want to find really, really good homes for these things. It's the movies we love so much, so we want the fans to have them. But we're only selling them because we are physically moving our animators all live across the world.
Right. So this is the time that it's going to be offered. So that's why we're so excited about it.
Awesome. Like, this is super exciting. I'm sad to hear that you guys are running out of space, but it works out good for us, I guess. So, like I said earlier, for those of our fans who are tuning in, you can join the chat room anywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and submit your questions, comments. We got one from Bran already. It says, hello, FANTiM. Hello, Yani. Hello, Larry. Did I call him Braun? I'm sorry. From Bran. It's an honor to finally. Sorry, Yanni, go ahead and take over.
It's an honor to finally. FANTiM does not like reading sometimes. It's an honor to finally get to virtually meet and interact with you. Hope you enjoy your time here with us. And that's a sentiment that we've seen echoed by many viewers, even from yesterday's premiere. Everybody's excited to be able to engage with you in some fashion, Larry, and of course you as well now, Dan.
So Dan, why don't you kind of show us a few of the things that you got there on the table? I mean,
Sure.
everything is so familiar, but
Right. So we have, and Larry talked to you a little bit about this as well, as I'm showing you. It's one of the weapons. And this is pretty significant because, again, there's very brought back from the production. And this is just a really, really detailed, it's made of wood, and you've got metal, top as well. And it's, it can damage for sure. So we don't want to, showcase it too much. And it's a great weapon. And this is again on auction right now. Fans live auctions and make their bids because it's on, and the auction is again in a week. So it's on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Larry, maybe you want to,
Yeah, sure.
So
the weapons in Mortal Kombat and all our Mortal Kombats are authentic to the fighters who use them. They really use weapons. So if it's a sword, it's a swordsman. If it's a spear, it's a spear. When we were we had the Beijing National Wushu perform at our studio. So this weapon, Dan, is actually from the big fight in the beginning of Mortal Kombat Annihilation taking over. That's a great weapon. It's designed. It is metal. But this is where Johnny Cage gets killed. This was actually shot in Jordan, in Jerash.
it's sharp.
You'll kill yourself.
It is.
Watch your fingers.
So you do better. So these weapons were from Shao Kahn's army and shot in Jerash, which is set in the middle of the Kingdom of Jordan in the Middle East.
And the great thing about these, you guys, is the bidding starts, so they can actually open up a bid on these items, and these are $600 and $800, and everybody's going to have a chance to own something for $400 or $100. Maybe it's a poster that they can own, and it's going to be signed by Larry. We're going to have talk about some of the casts we have coming, but I mean, Reptile.
Yeah, that's right. Because to Scorpion, aka Chris Casamassa, Keith Cook, who's Reptile, is coming, and Lyndon Ash that's on a week from Saturday.
Right, exactly. And they can sign, so we're going to have them live. So if somebody wins a poster, they can get it signed by the cast. We're also going to have, we'll do some giveaways, so it'll be fun. So you can tell, obviously, everyone, listening, tune into the auction. It's worldwide streaming on premierprops.com and Hollywood, and they can literally watch it, win, bid on the items, and then participate. So it's going to be really a fun time. How fun is it to meet the original cast members? Stories from Larry, or I'm going to talk to Larry about the making of the movie and that you always have wanted to know. We're going to have even more of that during the auction, and then we're going to be able to really take these amazing props and costumes home and own them. Is something that I know Larry loves and wants the fans to have. So again, to do this auction.
That's actually really cool for all Mortal Kombat fans, honestly. Like, as we've said already, it's sad that you guys have to make space, but the fact that Mortal Kombat fans can now actually own this stuff. I mean, I'm just looking at those doors and I'm thinking that would be a great entrance to my house,
And these doors are, of course, Larry talked about it, but this is the port to Outworld. It's unbelievable. And there's going to be statues you're seeing here, and Larry can talk about that. But we're going to be able to, this is anybody can buy it anywhere. So in Germany, we're going to ship it to Germany.
These doors are the doors in the first movie that were the open, and Goro walked out in the middle of it, raises for him. And it was the entrance to Outworld, and we took them right from the set to here. They're the only ones that they lived here for years, and they're in the middle of our screening room, so they kind of frame our movie screen, and they're wonderful. And then again, we love them, and they're just sometimes you need a lot of room for them. But in the next place we're going for, she just doesn't have the room. But they're incredible. One of a kind.
How cool would it be? I mean, Larry and you guys. I mean, to actually have these. I mean, put them both together. Your screening room at your house. I mean, you're going to be the only ones who have these doors. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I just went to an auction, bid online, and guess what? I just won. I just won the doors. Like, what? That's just incredible. So we will literally be the only ones that exist. That's what's so neat about what we're doing is they're really, truly only one. And it's like we brought them back from production, and now you literally will story of the town over and over and over because it's going to be in your house. So, and we're going to help transport it. That's what I was also saying is, people can bid anywhere, United States, out of the country, and we ship worldwide. So we'll help make sure right to their house. So it's pretty amazing.
All right. Well, we've got a question. Like we said, we've got some questions following from yesterday's episode, but also to do with today's auction. Firstly, another one from Bran. Larry, if you were beginning your career today, how would you get your foot in the door in the film industry? What advice would you personally give as a producer?
Well, touch of the madness. So I would do something crazy to get noticed. Don't do the same thing everyone else does. Always impossible to get into the film business. You will never get in the way I got in. But on the other hand, the opportunities you have is you can, whether you want to write, produce, act, do it, and simply put it on a huge array of social media platforms. TikToker with 50 million followers. So I think I would do that. But what I would do is be who you are and what your brand is. And don't do what everyone else does. And if you think it's too crazy, you're probably.
I'm liking the follow-up of the touch of the madness from yesterday's episode, so it's good to see that is a consistent thing. Now, a question from Katana Fan Realm specifically about memorabilia, but also not at the same time. Can we ever see the deleted footage from the MK movies? For example, Katana and Liu Kang at the Goro Arena, or deleted footage of Talisa Soto's action sequences from Annihilation?
Don't think so.
It was worth a try.
I don't even know where it is. People ask that about the question, but I don't really like that because I think, this story lives as this story that went into it. What we ate that day for lunch. But I think this is it. This is the story. You can go back. This is what happened. This is what we shot. This is the story. This is how it stands. And so, time has somehow grabbed it, taken it away. I don't know that we really. I want you to see I want everyone to experience the same story and make it what they will.
That's totally fair.
I noticed you have a few of the statues, and I also noticed that these were on the auction itself. So you have how many of the gargoyles? Are there 3 that are going to be auctioned off?
Yeah, that's right. There's 3 of them. And you're looking at one here, obviously, and
that's Reptile.
That's Reptile. Sorry, and they're well. Like Reptile is incredible.
So can I talk about this? So now you wouldn't really do this. You just do it digitally because he turns into a digital character in the movie. It is hardly ever used. That's what these all are made of. They're sculpted by an actual sculptor, like foam, like Michelangelo would, and then it's hard coated. So it's hand sculpted and hard. We had to do this again today. I don't know if we even know such a person exists who could take an old building you see somewhere.
That's true. And they're relatively light, which is they're super concrete, heavy, and they're really not. They're delicate.
You might not be able to see on this camera, but in the coating are reflected Mortal Kombat colors, which are kind of a blue, purple, and an orange for fire. We can. I'm not sure you guys can see it, but so if you put a red and blue light on it, it looks fantastic.
carrying forward the effects of Outworld. I like it.
Is that what Dan's doing now? It's going to give us some dramatic lighting.
You just go a little closer, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh, you can see it. Yeah, you see how it reflects the blue. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it gives that you can really see it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really.
Yeah, we've got a great question specifically with props right now. Larry, what is your favorite prop from the MK media you've produced? From Bran again.
Well, what is my favorite? Honestly, the reptile statue we just showed, the doors keeping, which is Goro's head. I'm kind of partial to that for some reason, so I'm keeping.
Oh, you guys still have Goro's head.
Yeah, we're not really so we don't have any room for it, and we just don't want to part with it, but it just
Yeah.
space. But never anything else like it. The because again, remember we started these things, so I remember old Craftsman and a little huge square block of hard foam, and these doors are really unusual too. And the doors became such a symbol of Mortal Kombat opening with Goro behind, raising his arm.
Yeah.
It's been used over and over again. So these are pretty much my favorites.
Are the doors themselves, are they being sold as a set, or are they like half each in the
As a
auction?
set.
Oh, okay.
As
So, Yanni, you really could put them as your opening door into your house.
Yeah, but could do.
I remember in the movie
Sorry,
itself, you didn't just use the doors for Goro's scene, but there was a scene where Shang Tsung grabbed Sonya and like you had your CG artist render the same door style, and they kind of opened up and the portal came out and grabbed Sonya and Shang Tsung, which it's cool to see like the physical doors here now.
Yeah,
so
for both the physical and the sort of metaphysical, the spiritual. And Dan didn't say, but another statue is actually very heavy. And when Johnny and Liu Kang and Sonya walked under these huge hulking monsters who were breathing fire. And we actually have one of them heavy because it is rigged. We talk about outdoor barbecue. It is rigged for fire.
right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are those the reptile statues, basically the ones that Reptile fell into?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
One of those.
that's cool. So you could actually use it. That's awesome.
They're made of a fiberglassy substance, but yeah, you could put a torch in.
Nice.
That's actually pretty cool. I wanted to ask about that exact statue because I don't think I see it there at the moment. But I mean, I remember watching the movie so many times, and just every single time I love that sort of effect of the alien sort of reptile, as I'm just going to call it, going into the statue, and it just turning into the human reptile. It's such a cool effect for its time. So, is that statue in there today, or am I not seeing it?
Yeah,
it's
that's
not there.
It's in the we have that statue outside, and it's in the catalog.
Yeah, and they can see it online as well. You can go to premierprops.com. It's up right now. And again, it doesn't matter how you really ship anything. So
and you can have that statue. That statue's been living out for years. So it's weather resistant.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Weather resistant, fire resistant. It's great.
Outworld, guaranteed by Outworld.
Larry's also.
Yes.
So we got another question from this one's from Tyrone. It says, my question was for Larry. How would he approach Mortal Kombat 95 if he could do a Mortal Kombat extended universe franchise all over again with all the lore of the games now? How would you remake the action movie?
It's a good question, but I don't really like to think of it that way because you can always quarterback these. So when I set off to make Mortal Kombat, I knew the game company, and I played the video game, and it was a testing as an arcade game. Arcades were coins and means as opposed to home video games. And I turned to him and I said, "This is Star Wars meets into the rights. I won't just make a movie. I'll make it in every medium in the world: movies, TV, animation, music, you name it, I'll do it." And he looked at me and he said, "Piece of crap arcade game." And then we did it. And I'm proud to say, all these years later, we did it, and we're still doing it. We had a Mortal Kombat, and so we did successfully turn it into everything, and fortunately keep doing it. So I think at the time if you can Monday morning quarterback and say there was a time we went really fast, movie TV, maybe we should have breathed a little bit more. But I'm really happy with what we did. Mortal Kombat Conquest, the TV show, in a long time. It's now on HBO Max. It came out, and so I watched it again, and I got to say, and I know I don't mean this to sound as arrogant as it does, and I was really happy with how good it was. I didn't even remember it as that well. So I'm pretty happy with the whole team did. It's a fantastic team we had, and that's really the good thing we have gathered. A great team of people. And if I had to do it again, I would set out just to grab a great team of people.
Nice. Yeah, I think you had a question.
Yeah, just curious about, well, again, props specifically, and that's what this discussion's about. What inspired some of the designs? Like, obviously now with the weapons and such, you're going for, Asian themes with the glaives and such, of course. But then you've got the great doors behind you. You've got the statues. What sort of inspired how you went about choosing what was going to be, well, the design for those things, really?
So it is Asian infused because a lot of the original ideas of Mortal Kombat on a sort of amalgam of Asian myths and legends. And I happen to personally, as a collector, as Asian art. And so we have a lot of that. We didn't really base on any one. Get the architectural designs of Angkor Wat, which is in Cambodia, from the fort. That would have been the single greatest one design piece we did. As we grew and expanded and expanded, one of the things we have at auction that's really unusual, found them again, is the actual blueprints and designs of all the sets, in which were designed, overseen by me, but designed by Charles Woods, who went on to be the production designer of Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers Endgame and what's the third one? But just he's one of the best designers in the world. So we started adding, and then the only other thing we had, as I mentioned, is the weapons were authentic. So if someone was going to design a weapon that looked cool, it had to work for whatever style of fight so it was a combination of Asian influence, predominantly Angkor Wat, just people like Charlie Woods, and whatever worked for practical fighting. It's always that if someone has something, it works and they can use it.
I noticed that you guys on the auction site, you have Shang Tsung's jacket. Is that the original one that he wore throughout the movie that Carrie was wearing?
And I think I can say also, you asked Larry's favorite piece. I think this is on for sure, and this is probably next to the doors as the doors prop. It is the best piece in the auction. It truly is, because it's in literally the whole movie.
So
Yeah.
everyone all years for costumes, and a long time ago, some of the props and things we had at our studio, but I also had a studio at what they used to be because it burned down a while ago, and a lot of the costumes like Sub-Zero and Scorpion were gone. So this is not only the actual one Shang Tsung wore, derived from the movie.
Right.
Is it, was
So
it,
it is
sorry, is it made out of leather and, or was it a synthetic material that you guys used for that?
leather.
Oh, nice.
It's
Let's see.
beautifully, I mean, framed, and it's been hanging
Yeah,
at entertainment.
I noticed the
So
stitching on the back, and you had the dragon logo and everything.
Solid.
Really nicely made.
And
What was that, Larry?
for sure has to buy it and win it.
Yeah. Let's see. I got another question here from Bran. It says, "How much input did you have on some of the designs as a producer? Is there any prop ideas that you personally went to the team and said, 'I want to see this'?"
oh, I'm very, very, very hands-on as a producer, and especially on Mortal Kombat because. So, yeah, we constantly went and Shang Tsung to the designers of the costumes on the first movie and even the second. We really want this to work, and like, for example, Shang Tsung's jacket that has to work for Shang Tsung. It has to look cool at a club in London or Macau or New York at 2:00. It's a cool jacket. I mean, you can just wear. I mean, he's got a dragon on the back, and it's all stitched leather, and it's badass. The idea was that what I would say to them was, it's got to work. They got to be able to fight in it, and it's got to be as in the game, but it's got to be really cool and badass. So if you saw someone wearing it, great outfit. That was what we tasked everyone with.
That's cool, and it was. I mean, most people really actually would wear that in real life.
We're sexy and wild, and then that's what we really like. That's what I really like.
How cool would be one own the jacket and then wear it during the podcast? Every podcast.
Yeah, that'd be iconic right there.
Here, you guys. This is his whip as well.
Shao Kahn.
This is, of course, superhero. Highly recommend.
So it's
Dan, what's that
nylon.
made out of? Oh, okay.
Nylon actual whip underneath, and then hand stitched on the outside,
Wow.
which we think is a hard to use in the movie.
Right.
So don't kill anyone with it if you get it.
Things. Yeah, really. You got actual weapons that you're sending out.
Oh yeah.
And then right now has an estimate of 3 to 5, and they're already on a lot of these items right now. So this is a great one to bid on for sure, because it's just, again, super. It's one of a kind for sure.
Might need to pick that up myself to keep FANTiM in line with the Soul Strain.
Yanni, did you have a few more questions on from earlier?
Well, I mean, not from earlier. This might not even be related technically, but it's on the desk, so I'm counting it as related. Is that a cutout of Deception Scorpion, or is that a figure, a bust?
Oh, that's a cutout.
That's a cutout. All right, cool.
That's just something we have around here.
Right.
I love it. It's my favorite design for him. I saw him, so I had to ask. With regards to the presentation of the auction, you've mentioned now that it's going to be Chris Casamassa, yourself, Larry. Did you say Lyndon Ashby, Keith Cook as well were joining?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. Wow. And Lyndon hasn't done a lot of Mortal Kombat related interviews, so that's going to be really cool for the fans to be able to talk to him, because it's every once in a while that he'll pop up.
Lyndon is fun. Favorite Lyndon story, which he doesn't like me to tell. But when we were shooting in southern Thailand, we were on this island, and we all had our little bungalows, and Lyndon was always late to set. And the monkeys, they just don't like him. We're like, oh yeah, right. But actually, it turned out the monkeys didn't like him. In the morning, and they would pelt him with coconuts when he was trying to leave. So.
It was a real.
Yeah. I think you told us about that too on the Realm Kast. Like
Yeah.
that's probably one of the funniest Lyndon Ashton stories I've ever heard. That he was literally getting chased around by monkeys.
He was getting, but it's funny. Lyndon and I at the last time were really funny guys, and a lot of the funny lines they both ad lived.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Which,
I mean when Chris says you want you, sorry, he had lived that line because it wasn't written funny. It just didn't quite work. And Chris was funny as hell, and did it, and it was just broke up things, and because everyone kind of knew what we were doing. So it's always really important, I think, to cast people in real life to their personalities on film.
That's actually like the mark of when many like notable scenes in movies actually are, well, that's what makes them notable actually. It seems to be that when an actor just sort of adds themselves into the role or adds something that they believe that character should have to their personality and makes a little action, even just expressions, but a lot of the time it's quotes. And I'm very curious to hear more about how Lyndon Ashby, and even if that happened with any of the other cast members throughout the movie.
People different, that directors different, that producers different, that studios different, that. But I'm of letting things go wild a little bit and seeing what happens and putting out these really talented people. They might have come up with something funnier than, or better, or scarier or sexier than is in the script, and I like that. I love that actually.
That's actually a question I've always had. Sorry, FANTiM, but I mean, I've always just imagined to myself about how, because you read about these stories and actors are just like, yeah, I just this was just me. It wasn't part of the script. I just ad-libbed it, blah blah blah. And I always think to myself, when you have somebody like, for example, yourself, Larry, you're totally cool with it. But then I'm just imagining how it would go down when an actor does that, and then somebody else on set, director or producer, is just like, no, we don't do that here. Like how that would actually just go down.
There are people like that. They really don't like it. They're directors and producers, and you don't even dare sort of vary from my script, which is in the script, because that's what we do in the studio and everything we do. But I'm a big fan of actors, and I go, and you remember, I mean, look where Dan is sitting. I mean, he's going to be more because sitting next to a monster or a creature than he would be if he wasn't. And so I think the whole thing is what's the best shot, and it doesn't matter how you got it. And the number one thing I always say to people in films is win in the room. You want to win on the screen. So the ego in the room. It's my decision. Even though he was funny, you would be shocked at how many movies and don't have that. We just want the best thing we have, and Chris and Lyndon thought up a lot in the movie. I'm so grateful that they did.
I got another question here from Underlined Ink. Regarding the auction, are all the items viewable on the website, or will more be added on the day of the auction?
No, they're all viewable right now. So they can go right on props.com or HollywoodLiveAuctions.com. So all the Mortal Kombat items they can view them. There's some other movies also from Threshold Entertainment that are several hundred other movie props. Mortal Kombat is they can see right now. And it's great because they can actually make pre-auction happens next Saturday. They can already have a bid in, and viewing starts.
Nice. And as you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier and touched upon it, you guys actually don't just have the Mortal Kombat props. You have the other movie props, but then you also have some various things like the Mortal Kombat poster and stuff like that that are autographed. And you guys are going to be doing live autographs on the auction on the date of.
Yeah.
So
on the having it posted, we'll have all the the cast as well that we just talked about being there, and the different posters. We have lot of different variations of posters and fun things. We have some collector books that are also, Mortal Kombat original and, going back old school, which is really great. So they be signing those as well. Some surprises, some giveaways, and we know your listener, Larry, of course, the Mortal Kombat. So we're going to ask some questions, kind of some fun stuff going during the auction for people to call in and participate. Always that's what I love about this thing. It's bringing happiness to the fans. Larry said about not winning in the room, winning on the screen. I think that's such a great line. I'm always going to remember that my whole life. That's what they got, right? They got it on the screen, and everyone keeps going to that, or their TV screen, whatever screen it is. But that's what it's about. And from the screen that you can actually sit in backup or sit next to speaks such, it just speaks so highly of itself. So I just love being part of this whole experience.
We got another question here from Bran regarding the autographs. Larry, do you do autographs?
Sure.
So you got it. If you want Larry to sign something for you, be sure to join the live stream of the auction so that you can get that also. Let me see. Sorry, go ahead.
Don't think we're getting any of that, Larry.
I said my motto is
I'll sign anything. Let's see. I think if it's okay with you guys, maybe we'll take maybe 2 more questions from the chat, and then I know you guys got a busy day trying to get everything set up, so we can start letting you go if that works for you too.
Sure.
All right. Let me see. Question here from another one from Tyrone. He wants to know. What happened to the Sub-Zero and Scorpion character development when they were Earthrealm fighters? Because in the movie, they're kind of written off a little bit more as he puts it, slaves to Shang Tsung when he didn't have such power. Was there a creative choice to kind of put them in that direction, I guess, is the question?
You mean to subjugate Sub-Zero and Scorpion under Shang in the first movie?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what it appears he's asking.
Yes.
So for creativity.
It was hard to sort of create a hierarchy, and so because the hierarchy of the movie was that Shang Tsung, that Scorpion and Sub-Zero working for Shang Tsung, and in effect, Shang Tsung was working for Shao Kahn.
Okay. So to kind of establish that henchman dynamic so that we could progress the story, sounds like. And then I got another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
No,
I think we lost you a little bit there on the audio.
No, I said that is correct.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Got a question of my own with regards to a couple of props, because this is something that I think the fans would be pretty interested in, because, I mean, it's quite iconic, and that's Johnny Cage's shield against Scorpion when Lyndon Ashby's fighting against Chris Casamassa. Now, I was not aware that there were actually 3 shields used there. I know that one of them actually has the burn marks or something, according to the website.
That's right. That's the one that is burned, and really, of course, special piece. Later, you can talk more about it, but yes, it's one of 3.
When we made the first Mortal Kombat movie, you often do in Hollywood what's called a test screening. You show a cut of a movie to an audience and see what you can learn. And usually when we show the test screening of the first Mortal Kombat movie to the audience, 99% love the movie, I want more fights. So the reptile Liu Kang fight was not originally going to be in the movie. But we went back, built those sets, and added those two. They're probably the two best fights of the whole franchise so far, or among them. Johnny Cage Scorpion set is just, it's just one of the, we still get questions about it all the times we've ever done. And yeah, we use, and these shields are the shields, so they're a little used. And there were two that he actually fought with, but the one that caught on fire, which was done as a scorpion, who you then learn is kind of inside made of fire, is a different one. But what's really, and they're great, but that's such an iconic, that set is beautiful, and we had to go, we went back and shot two more fights, which, you know, was quite expensive, but made the whole.
So, I mean, you've mentioned on our previous episode on the Realm Kast together that, and you've just said it now, that the reptile fight almost didn't get made. You pushed for that. Now, if that fight hadn't happened, would you still have had the whole statue effect and everything? Would you still have shown little Zaterran reptiles running around as well, or would that have just not been in it at all?
Been around as a spy, because you saw him earlier as kind of a spy, but no, it wouldn't have been around. You know,
Wow.
Hard to look back in the movie and say, what would you have done if, well, one, because things that then come together and happen, like the ad libs we told you about. Now, those, the movie without those two fights in them, but that's exactly what filmmaking is, until you get the exact right, or what you hope is the right movie, and in some cases you get fortunate, and we didn't. But yeah, it was not, they were not in the original script.
Wow. I mean, we'd be missing a pretty iconic prop from the movies,
Right?
if that's the case. I mean, I was curious as well, just because my thought process was, if you don't have the reptile fight, then maybe you don't have reptile at all. So I thought that maybe he was a sort of late addition in some way as well, because of that fight addition.
No, if you recall, he was on the top of the island in Outworld, where a lot of these.
Yeah.
He was there and he was listening, because then he morphed into an actual creature. So he still would have been in the movie, but a much smaller role. And
okay.
Incredible fighter. That's the other thing too. You have to learn about the Mortal Kombat. When for example, or I'm sorry, Liu Kang runs, jumps on Keith's shoulders, puts him over. They really did that. We always have people who can really do it, and that's why the fight isn't getting this fake feeling, because it's not fake. They did it.
Yeah.
And now Liu Kang and Keith, common, they all have different trainers, but they had in common the same trainer, which is the late great Steve Fisher, who's kind of a legend in the martial arts world. He passed away a few years ago, but Steve trained a lot of people who became in and then for Mortal Kombat. And Steve was like Rocky trainer. His motto was, it's mind over matter. I don't mind and you don't matter. And he just trained the hell out of these.
Let's see. I got one more question before I go to one of our last fan questions. Actually, let me ask this one first from one of our from our chat room right now, from Cloud VPN6. Larry, do you have any news about Mortal Kombat Conquest Season 2? Larry, I'm telling you, fans want this, as we talked about on the Realm Kast.
Make it happen.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it is the most often question I get asked. We're giving it. We're trying.
Well, that's good news. That's better than no news. So
yeah, just the fact that you're trying says it all to me.
All right, and then another question here from myself. Are the doors the biggest item that you guys are auctioning, or do you have anything bigger? And also, is there anything smaller? I know that you've mentioned, we talked about some of the posters and things like that, but as far as the stuff that you have going up, give us a little bit of a rundown on a few more items before we let you go.
So the big doors for sure. As far as coins here, definitely for sure. The smallest item coins, and those are the smallest items. So you can actually have a set of 10 collectibles, which are fun to have, and that's probably the smallest item. And then we've seen some of the others, and some of the costumes that we have. That's kind of that. We have a lot of different posters that we talked about. The designs, which is amazing too. We have a lot of different, actual rendering to architecture from the movie and both films, and it's really actually one of a kind. So you can frame them individually if you want, but they're sold as a CD, so you can have a series of 6 or 8. Some of them even have more in the literally stamped, hand drawn from the production. So very easy to obviously take around and then frame and do everything with them. In the auction room, we actually have them up against the walls, so all the shields and all the weapons are hung. So it's a really great design to have in your home because it looks amazing. A shadow box, you can actually hang them on a wall. It doesn't take up any room. They get a gift form to have in your house or your office, or wherever it is. But that's just something I think that fans know and collectors know, because it doesn't have to.
Yeah, those Mortal Kombat Annihilation schematics and concept art are beautiful pieces of work. That's probably one of the big things I have my eyes on, because you don't see that sort of thing go up for auction. I mean, you see movie props once in a while, but those are just everything here is artistry. So it's cool to see stuff like that up for auction.
Definitely. And then again,
Sorry, Dan.
Now, and everybody can go online, to premierprops.com, and also they can always, if they want to email us or call us prior to the auction, we'll of course take an answer. Any dimensions they need or quotes, we can do that right now all the way up through the auction and after. So we just want to participate and have fun with it. I mean, we just want that this event to be the most combat event that we've ever had. So that's what we're doing.
Well, we're talking a lot about, obviously, what you have on the auction, and that's to be expected. But I'm very curious because, you're making space and everything, but this is not, as far as I can tell, everything from the movies. Are there more props and anything that you guys are keeping to possibly have a later auction, or are you choosing to keep things to put up somewhere?
But some things that we're keeping just because we love them, and they.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. We have no plans to ever sell.
All right, awesome. And well, we've mentioned Mortal Kombat Conquest, and as you've said, you're trying to get that to happen, and the fans already know that we need to raise our voices for you to make that happen as well. But sorry.
Yes, raise your voices.
Well, I mean, as far as I can tell from the actual auction itself, you don't seem to have any props from Mortal Kombat Conquest. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, there is a reason for that. Can I tell you the reason for that? Let me think about it. Well, without getting into details,
Mm-hmm.
'Cause some of this stuff is just not all that interesting. When we left after the first season, we were number 1 of a new syndicated. 100% convinced coming back. So we just left everything in Florida, but we didn't think that. So that's why I didn't take anything, because we just left it all packed up, and then I'm not sure what happened to it when we found out at the last minute we weren't. That's the real story.
Oh, gotcha. So
Such a shame.
Those are gone. Those are
all these props even more valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about these props is they're fading. Like this sort of memorabilia that it's once in a lifetime that this sort of thing
It,
comes up. So yeah,
it's really they're really on auction. Maybe there's been one shield in the last couple of years that has ever gone to auction. That's really is all there is. And if you go into different collector sites, somebody might have replica, have something that inspires them from Mortal Kombat, but they just that's out there. I mean, I've really looked, and there's nothing. So is this is a once in a lifetime event for fans and collectors to own something. 10 items for Mortal Kombat, that's a lot. I mean, right here we're talking. There's about 100 items. Combat and what's it's been. I mean, we're talking how many years later? 25 years later, production, and we still have these props and costumes in great condition. So they've been inside and housed really, really well, taken care of. So I mean, it's such an opportune time. So I hope that fans are like saving their money for until next Saturday and not spending it everywhere right now. Keep your money and then buy something like this because again, it's props and movie costumes and why I got into this whole auction and because there's something special about owning a movie prop. Because again, that no one really has. You can't go to Amazon to buy it. It's just special because it's your favorite movie that you now have a prop from. Your favorite movie now is your conversation with yourself, with your friends, with your family. Interesting. We never can guarantee this, but since I've been in this business for 20, movie props from special movies go up in value, which is really interesting. So you might get a prop, you're going to see the value. It might have been $1,000. 20 years later, $20,000 and more. So that ratio kind of goes up, and you can see it. But buy it because you love it. Second, you buy it because it might go up in value. We've seen all along with Premiere props, and that just always a great experience to like show someone that they've won it. They're cheering in the auction room during the auction, and it's probably the greatest excitement that fan has won it, and now they'll take pictures of it, send it to us, and that's what's so rewarding about it. It's like what you guys do on your podcast. You're rewarding much. You love this franchise so much, and for us, we love these props so much. When we say give them because it's they're winning them. It's that excitement for us watching that person now own that prop.
Yeah, and I mean for all the fans as well, it's not just props and everything that I mean, obviously we've got the glaive in front of you, you've got the doors behind you, but it's not just that. We've got blueprints as well up there. There's concept art as well, like things that maybe you didn't even realize that was actually in play here, or even when the movie was made, and it's just like, oh well, I could buy the statue, or I could have this sort of design about what it was supposed to look like before it even happened. And that's actually such a cool aspect to this auction. It is, as you've said, a way for the fans to be able to connect in a way where they get to keep their own sort of make their own sort of history with a prop from their memories from that movie. So to anybody who is interested, we will be sharing links to everything. You can get involved with the auction itself, regardless of where in the world you are, and try and get a little piece of Mortal Kombat history for your own.
Yeah, we've actually already went ahead and added links to realmkast.com for anybody who's interested. Just click on Larry's episode from yesterday's Realmcast, and you'll see all the links to the auction. And we'll be leaving those up until after the auctions ran. That way, we try to get as many people there as possible. Just for reiteration, it's going to be at icollector.com. You can also find at liveauctioneers.com and hollywoodliveauctions.com. Saturday, December 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific time and 1 p.m. Central time.
As well as 7 p.m. GMT.
That's correct. So again, Larry, Dan, thank you guys so much for joining us on the Soul Stream. It's been great chatting with you guys and getting a chance to sit down and talk again with you, Larry. So we appreciate you guys joining us and kind of showing us what you have coming up, because we're pretty excited to share this with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you guys for joining us on the Soul Stream. Not just Dan and Larry, but also to the listeners. We really hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and had a blast looking through. Well, a blast from the past, actually, with all these props and memorabilia. We have not announced our next episode of the Realm Kast yet, but we will be doing so via the usual channels soon. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, and in the meantime, don't forget that Mortal Kombat Online has other programs such as Fan Fight Friday, which is 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So it's actually going to be taking place right after this if you want to switch over to that stream. And then let's see, we also have Survival Saturdays from 9 till 11 p.m. Eastern time.
So yeah, thank you for checking out the 4th Soul Stream episode. If you haven't, check out our most recent episodes of the Realm Kast. We had, firstly, actor Casper Van Dien, Starship Troopers, everybody, Johnny Rico, as well as Mortal Kombat Legacy's Johnny Cage. We go into detail on Mortal Kombat Legacy itself, as well as the unreleased Mortal Kombat Generations, which, as we've confirmed now, is complete, just not released. So we need to get our voices out there. But obviously, we also have our episode from last night with Larry Kasanoff. It's a lot more. He talks a lot more in this one than he did today, for obvious reasons. But it's got a lot of awesome information. It's a really long one with so much detail about the Mortal Kombat movies, 95, Annihilation, Conquest, Defenders of the Realm even, and more, basically. So anything you want to know about these projects, it's cool. Sorry, FANTiM.
It's our most detailed episode yet, I'd say. Like, there's so much stuff in there that I had to listen to it quite a few times, not just because I was editing it, but because there was so much information in it. So just remember, you can find those on usual channels, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify. We have them all right there. And then you can find Yani and myself, FANTiM, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yani on the Mortal Kombat meme realm, which is now also on Instagram. And just a quick notice, this isn't our usual Soul Stream. We're not going into news and stuff today. We just kind of want to give you a chance to talk to Larry and show off the stuff that we have, or he has coming up for auction. So be sure to keep an eye out for our next Soul Stream. This is the only one we're going to be doing in December right now, unless something else comes up. I think we told you last Soul Stream we weren't doing one in December, but this came up and we wanted to kind of give you guys this opportunity. So thought we'd jump on here.
Looks like we don't have any news anyway, considering the latest tweet we got. We can at least mention this.
Yeah,
Ed Boon has confirmed that there will not be any announcements for, well, any NRS announcements at the Game Awards. So we had a feeling that something might potentially happen around then. Luckily for us, because we're literally traveling on that exact day, nothing is happening. But it's also bittersweet because that means no Mortal Kombat news. Unless, you know, this is Ed Boon saying, hey, there's nothing. Wink, wink, you know.
Right.
But no,
just
there
be clear,
will be no other.
I'm not traveling with Yani. Yani is traveling and I'm traveling. We're taking a vacation from the Realm Kast for a week.
But you can, in the meantime, join our official Discord channel hosted on Mortal Kombat Online server through the link in the description, where we are able to discuss Mortal Kombat as along with all of you, basically. And yes, I agree. I didn't see the name of that comment, but I agree. They need more time. Coma. I also want them to give us the best Mortal Kombat 12. So I'm totally fine with them taking their time. It does feel a bit weird not having anything for the 30th anniversary, but at the same time, I'd rather something complete, properly finished, properly tested. So good for them if they are taking that time.
You know what? Even though they haven't given us anything for the 30th anniversary, we have a lot of guests. Like,
yeah,
the episode with Larry that we released, we actually were holding off on that one, but because we got too many guests
for months, literal months. This has been in the works for quite a while. So don't worry. Just because there's a Mortal Kombat news drought, we have a lot more on the way from our side.
Like a lot to understatement. So be sure to follow us wherever you listen to us. Just make sure if it's on YouTube, hit that notification icon. That way you can at least join into our premieres, come on things like this whole stream, know when we're airing so that you can jump in these chats with us. And then a quick special thanks to Uppercut Editions for their continued support. The Realm Kast, of course, is the official podcast of Mortal Kombat Online.
And you can actually catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on realmkast.com, where you can also find our calendar for all of our upcoming content. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.